Two people with Down syndrome ducking in front of a crowd of people. What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen at a party? Welcome to another storytime, my viewer, so glad to have you back. It's me, Andrew, your narrator. While you're here, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe so we don't miss any more storytimes together. If you don't, I'll go ahead and show your Pornhub search history to your grandma. Well, let's get into the storytime. A pregnant girl drinking and doing lines of coke. They served a Sauvignon Blanc with steak and roasted potatoes. A girl was giving butt-naked lap dances for money. She was probably a stripper. She was straddling my friend, and I saw some period blood dropping on his chest. Watched someone butt chug a beer through a funnel, then watched an unaware bystander come over and funnel a beer through the same funnel. However, both guys, ended up hooking up later in life. A girl crapping her pants. Nobody knew her really, she was just there, unleashing the dark bomb and left crying. Never saw her again. A girl charging $10 a pop to let guys eat her pussy. There was a crowd of like 15 guys taking turns and cheering each other on. I'm like, WTF, I don't think you guys understand how prostitution works. Watched a midget do a keg stand in college. The ridiculous part was when he landed back on his feet, his eyes immediately rolled to the back of his head and he passed out. He fell backwards like a board and smacked his head on the floor. He looked dead for a few seconds and several people circled around him. When he finally opened his eyes, everyone yelled and cheered, seemed like a movie. Went to a friend's house party around 7 years ago. There were at least 100 people in a 2-up 2-down house, most people in a room witnessing a girl attempting to fit a pretty big telescope in her pussy. It was messed up. Once at a family party I saw two deaf men signing to each other, but at the same time getting much drunker. The signs just became slower and blurrier, and the last I saw of them they were just hugging. We were having a party at our house, and one of the guests got a little out of hand. He started breaking beer bottles on the floor and dancing in the shards of glass in his bare feet. The dance floor cleared and a circle formed around him, watching as he began rolling around on the floor, cutting himself on the glass. One of my housemates started yelling at him to get out, and he turned to her and said, "Stop censoring my art." Group of us, ages 17 to 19, around a bonfire drinking beers, and girls started asking dudes truth or dare questions. Things start heating up and sexual tension is building up until my buddy asks this drunk girl who chose the truth what her craziest masturbation story was. She tells us that midway through finger banging herself, she let her German Shepherd mount her and she came. Killed the mood that was set because she started bawling when one of the guys called her a dog ducker and the rest of the girls tried to take care of her. As the party was winding down, my friend was passed on the sofa. He suddenly got up making some grunting sounds. Proceeded to stumble right round the coffee table in front of him and back to the couch. He then pulled down his jeans and boxers and sat back down. The sound of runny turd squelching between his ass and that leather couch will haunt me for the rest of my life. Was at a party in high school. It was a pretty big party. People everywhere. I walk into the laundry room to a large group of people, about 15. They were all huddled around a dog kennel with a large bloodhound and two collies inside. They were laughing hysterically, yelling about some kind of initiation. Perplexed, I asked what this initiation was. Then one guy who I don't think I had even met before proceeded to pull his pants down past his ass and press his cheeks against the metal cage. The dogs all happily licked this kid's ass. I turned around and walked out. Weird crap. Don't even know what this initiation was for. Drunk girl fell down a flight of stairs to the basement at a party, landed face first on a pile of hardwood scraps, and gashed her face pretty good. Reverted to speaking Spanish, she was visiting from Mexico and refused the idea of calling an ambulance. She ended up fine the next day from what I heard, but looked pretty bruised from the pics I saw. She was drunk in the kitchen and went to lean on the wall, but there was a doorway where she thought the wall was, and she just kind of disappeared mid-conversation with someone. It was funny for about 2 seconds, then we heard her land on the wood pile, and we all rushed to help her. It was my father's 25 plus years with his coworkers party in our backyard. One guy had a motorcycle accident a year prior, and this was his first party out of his bed he was in for 12 months. Promptly chugged along with everyone until he's having such a good time and obviously buzzed that he stands up off his wheelchair, propping himself with his forearms onto his 2 feet so fast everyone stood agape until he fell forward onto the table full of 40 beer bottles a half second later. Then it was laughter and good times rolling for these guys until sunrise next morning. He had forgotten he was handicapped among his buddies. Edit. Wow, this went all the way to the top. Thanks guys. I'll be sure to let my pops know to tell his bud that his story is a source of inspiration for others in the same rough patch. My mate flicked his ciggy into the air, then spat as far as he could. Ciggy landed on the far side of the road. Gob of spit landed on it. We hear the hiss of it being extinguished. Nobody else saw it. No one would believe us. Edit. Thanks for the believers. For clarity. There wasn't anything else to put it out, it was summer, and there weren't any puddles. I know throwing away lit ciggies in Australia is an issue, but he was chucking it on a road to stomp it out. I hate seeing people chuck away still lit ones and not give it a second thought. There was a massive bushfire that wiped out a nearby town only 2 weeks ago. Second edit. Ciggy equals cigarette. In Western Australia everything gets shortened. Durry is also a common term for cigarette. I was at my friend's place with maybe 15 other people drinking, and at that time, the McRib was back. This one guy Rob had brought one with him and devoured it, probably in under 30 seconds. About 10 minutes later, he went wide-eyed and began to regurgitate it. In one piece, roughly the same size and shape as the original McRib he had just eaten, but reconstituted out of McRib pulp pasted together with Bush Light. It landed on his stomach and sat there for a second until someone went, "Hey, the McRib is back." This chick found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her. She went into some room and jerked off some random dude, then slapped her boyfriend in the face with his coom all over her hand. I thought he was going to kill her. Edit. I just brought this up to a buddy of mine who was friends with the kid who got slapped because it's been years since it happened, and this is blowing up. He reminded me that the boyfriend wasn't even cheating on her. She was just some psycho nut job who had issues with her boyfriend having other female friends. I guess the alcohol took her jealousy to a new plateau. Ducking party was crazy. Someone ripped a phone line through the wall, and someone else stole the front door. Edit 2. This happened on Long Island, New York, circa 2007. As far as the door goes, there isn't really a story. It just disappeared. The party was at a mansion and there were a few hundred people there. It was a Halloween party, and they had like 10 kegs and a ton of liquor for a bunch of kids between 17 and 21. At some point someone came over and asked if we saw where the front door went, and we were like, what the duck kind of question is that? We went over and looked and it was gone. They never found out who took it or where it went. Crap just got out of hand. There were people ducking in the hallways of the guest house, there were people driving all over the lawn. The bounce house got destroyed after a few people ducked in it. Somebody crap in one of the bedrooms. There was coom and vomit everywhere probably. It was nuts. Hell, I made out with 2 girls I never met before, then ducked a 3rd girl in the movie theater in the house, then made out with another girl after that, all in the span of about 4 hours. I'm pretty sure the homeowners just said duck it and got a new door. They were so wealthy money wasn't an issue, and I doubt they wanted the cops coming there to take a report after they had a party with hundreds of underage kids. I went to Catholic school, a different one from the people who owned the house, but when my school found out about the party they went onto Facebook and suspended anyone who was in the pictures. It was Project X before Project X was even a thing. The only reason the cops weren't called was because we were at a mansion on an enormous piece of property, and the neighbors were ridiculously far away. The property was gated anyway, and the house was so far back in the woods that even if a cop came up to the gates, he wouldn't have been able to see anything. A lot of people were saying that the guy who got slapped probably was cheating on his girlfriend, but he definitely wasn't. She was accusing him of hooking up with some girl at that party, and my buddy said that he was with him the whole night and he didn't even talk to any girls. My buddy was the one who stopped him from quite literally murdering her. I vividly remember my buddy freaking out after they got the guy who got slapped out of there because when he grabbed him to stop him from hitting her, my buddy got some of the coom on his shirt. Thanks for watching. What did you think of the story time? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more story times.